And a very happy spring to everyone. It's good to see the sun's out, birds are chirping, flowers in bloom, not forgetting it's Heritage Month. So today I thought we'll do something that's true to South African heritage, something I grew up with, and something that will give you a hug from the inside. But before we do that, a word from our sponsor. As a content creator, it's very difficult to find the right music for the right videos. Finding the right music can take hours, sometimes even days. That's where Mojo Juice Productions step in. These guys will custom create tracks for any content or presentation that you may have. Not only that, these guys are a full production company, so they can pretty much do anything you want them to. I've added links to all their social media accounts in the description box below, so go have a look at what these guys are actually capable of. Right, now, let's go cook.
Mojo Juice Production.
We're gonna start by popping open some cardamom pods. I feel there's nothing better than using freshly ground spices for the Koeksisters. But it's okay, if you don't have any, then you better go down to the shop and get some. You're gonna bring out the haltin yourself and smash that into finely ground powder. You don't want to be biting into a cardamom seed while you're enjoying your Koeksister. That is not on. In here we have all the ingredients we're going to be using for our Koeksister dough. We're going to start off with 1 cup of cake flour. This flour is made from cakes that I've baked earlier in the week. 1 cup of self-raising flour. 3/4 of a cup of milk. 3/4 of a cup of boiling hot water. 1 tablespoon of butter. So this is 40 ml of sugar, which is just short of a 1/4 cup. 1 beaten egg, about 5 grams or half a packet of instant yeast, half a tablespoon of oil, and now for the spices. 1 teaspoon of that cardamom that you just ground, half a teaspoon salt, 1 teaspoon cinnamon, 1 teaspoon of ginger powder, 1 teaspoon of aniseed, which I also ground fresh, and lastly a teaspoon of mixed spice. Next we're going to combine the dry ingredients. So we're going to mix our cake flour with our self-rising flour. Next is our sugar and spice. And lastly our everything nice. That's the yeast. You can't eat the yeast by itself. It's not very nice. We're going to combine that thoroughly. Next we're going to add in our hot water. You'll see that steaming. I used boiling water for this part. Then we're going to spank in our butter. Then it's time to whip it. Whip it real good until all the butter has dissolved into the water. And finally whisk in all of the milk. For the last step of the dough process, we will add our 1 egg to the flour mix, followed by the oil and the wet ingredient mix. And it's time to make like Bob Marley and stir it up. Make sure it's mixed completely, no dry spots or lumps. I don't recommend doing quality control on this one. You're gonna end up with the achy breaky tummy. Once your dough is done, you're going to cover it and set it aside for about 1.5 hours in a warm place to let it rise. A few minutes before 1.5 hours are done, set up some wax wrap on your countertop. You're going to then grease it with some oil, so when you place your dough on it, it doesn't stick to it. All rise. Once the dough has risen, it's now time to portion them. So oil your hands so the dough doesn't stick to it. And start dividing them into small bolas. I tried out 2, didn't get it right. So I called my magician's assistant to take care of the rest. Now you'll notice that the dough is incredibly wet. This is because it's a very high hydration dough. A lot of people don't use high hydration doughs because they're scared to handle it, and people don't always get it right. But if you do get it right, the rewards are well worth it. Once it's fried, your dough will be soft, moist, and incredibly light. It makes the difference. And when you're done doing taekwondo, you're gonna set your little Koeksister patties aside and let it rise for about 30 minutes. Time to get your oil up to temperature. Make sure it's not too hot. You're gonna wanna have it medium. Make sure you drop in a little tester. And it looks like mine is good to go. With oily hands and great difficulty, lift your dough up, shape them, and add them to the oil. Remember not to overcrowd the oil while frying. Give these sisters some social distancing. If your oil is too hot, your dough will be crispy on the outside and doughy on the inside. And if it's too low, it's just not gonna cook. Once they are a heartwarming brown color, it's time to take them out. Let them drain on a paper towel until almost all of the oil has been absorbed. And this is the reward of a high hydration dough. Next, we're gonna give the Koeksisters the signature sweetness that it has. I've got a cup of sugar and a cup and a half of water. I also have a cinnamon stick, 2 cardamom pods. Get your pot into a medium heat and add in your water, sugar, and spices. Let this go until the syrup becomes sticky. The perfect consistency is if it coats the back of the spoon and you can draw a line with your finger. It's like getting the bath water temperature just right to soak these babies in it. It doesn't need to be in there long. Make sure they're completely coated and take them out after a few minutes. Now this step is optional. Some people like a lot of coconut in the Koeksisters, some people don't like coconut at all. Well, I'm nuts about coconuts, so let's add a bit. I dusted some on the chopping board, took them out of the syrup and straight onto the coconut. Once all the Koeksisters have been syruped, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. And that's all she wrote. Now, when I was younger, we used to enjoy these early Sunday mornings with a hot cup of masala tea, or even on the Sunday afternoon if there was leftovers. I'm adding a link to the masala tea video in the description below. Feel free to go have a look at them. They pair together very well. Who thought I'll be doing tea pairing instead of wine pairing? Another thing that pairs well is the songs that Mojo Juice Productions has custom created for this video. As I mentioned earlier, I've added links to all their social media in the description below, so go have a look at them. It's worth your time, trust me. Talking about time, you know what time it is. Cinematics. Hit it.